guys, welcome back to my channel, and welcome to Anyone Can Draw This, the series where I get an object and I get the steps to drawing it and break them down into teeny tiny little pieces to make sure that anyone can draw this. Today's episode is going to be on a water drop, which is this in the thumbnail. And it will require some gray paper. If you don't have some gray paper, you can get a white piece of paper and just put like a nice little layer of graphite on there.
Just like this, you get the pencil, you blend it out, and just like that, you got gray paper.
You don't have to have every single thing that I use, and this will be a tutorial for my beginners, so I'm going to take it nice and slow, and we're just going to build up the water drops step by step. And you guys, I can't believe how insane easy it is to draw water drops. So, without further ado, let's just get started.
On to the first step, we are going to draw a potato. Nothing special, any potato type shape will work. Next up, I'm getting my tortillon/tortillon, depending on where you live, and all I'm doing is just softening the potato outline. Since this is the first layer, I'm not too worried about making it nice and clean. I'm just doing a nice blend just to make the outline a little bit more soft. Now that we have the general shape going on, all I'm going to do is kind of reinforce some of the areas where I want the shadows to be. So what that means is I'm just darkening some areas of the line, and I'm also going to be doing a light wash of graphite just to fill in the inside space. And you may be asking yourself, Ray, what are those two circles? And the answer to that is basically it's a marker of where I'm going to put my white highlight in. Kind of like a keep away from this area type deal. Now that we have a nice wash of pigment, I'm going to now blend all of that out, and surprise, not with a tortillon, but with my hand. I know, I get a lot of crap for using my fingers, but I like to use them because it gives me a nice monotone shade, and in addition to that, I can control how hard I want to press to decide how much pigment is getting moved around. So now that we have some nice lines going around, we have some nice filling on the inside, we're going to work on the outside shadows. Now taking the world's most jankiest ebony pencil, all I'm going to do is trace along the lines of the shape. And I'm not going to trace along the whole entire thing as seen here. All I'm doing is a very small shadow on the bottom. So you don't want to trace around the whole thing, just a nice little line on the bottom. And once you have that little line, you can follow what I'm doing, which is blending it out towards the middle. This shadow is going to be inside the water drop, and in a second we're going to work on the outside. So now that we have the inside shadow worked with, we are going to move on to the outside shadow. And for this, it is pretty much the exact same technique, but instead of using an ebony pencil, I'm going to be using a regular pencil. And the reason for that is because I'm trying to build up my shadows with a gradient. And the reason I want to build up my shadows is because I want a nice transition from white to black. Because in real life, that's kind of how shadows work. They're not just instantly black to white. They have a nice transition to them. Anyway, so all I'm doing is just adding a little bit of graphite on the outside, and I'm just going to blend all of that up. So don't even worry if it's a mess, man. Just go with it. And of course, I'm going to be using my finger again to get that nice monotone shade. And for the inside area where I want it to be more precise, I'm going to use my blending tool. See, I don't always use my fingers. And of course, like the secret to all blending, you're going to want to blend this and make it look really nice and soft. Now I'm going to take my super janky. Look at that! Don't tell me that is not janky. I don't know where my other one's at, but anyway, I'm just going to take that same Prismacolor and I'm going to reinforce what I just drew. So basically, the step that I just did, I'm going to redo, except now with an ebony pencil that just freaking broke on me. It's can you get any worse? And now that it's broken, I'm going to have to deal with it. I'm going to show you what actually happened. I can't sharpen it, so I just kind of have to piece it back together and hope for the best. So as promised, here I am showing you guys with the ebony pencil, and of course you gotta just blend it out and make a nice little gradient between the original graphite and now the ebony pencil. So now that I have the ebony pencil laid out, I have the graphite, I'm going to work on even deeper, darker shadows. And how I'm going to do that is by getting a charcoal pencil, which is my absolute favorite because it gives very, very dark lines. Oh yeah, baby, now we are cooking with gas. If you don't have a charcoal pencil or an ebony pencil, feel free to use whatever you want as long as you can create a gradient with it. And with this final and last shadow, I'm just taking away and adding as needed. And if you are using charcoal like myself, a fellow charcoal fan, just be wary to not blend away all the charcoal. This next step is kind of optional, but I like to add a little bit more filling into my little water bubble, water drop, teardrop, raindrop, I don't know. I'm just adding a little bit more texture in there, and that's completely optional as to how much you want to build it up. Now on to arguably the best part of this whole entire thing, and that is adding in the white highlights to make it look 3D. So starting off, you are going to be erasing those white little circles that we had previously drawn, and getting just any white colored pencil or whiteout or white paint. Pretty much anything that is brighter than the paper will work. And I'm just going to fill it in as saturated as possible on the smaller circle. And this is basically creating like a super fancy highlight. It kind of looks like light is reflecting off of a rounded surface. Now onto the second highlight, all I'm doing is just lightly putting in a nice little gradient of white. And unlike the other one, this one's not as saturated because I want it to just look very subtle. And just experiment as to what you like and how much light you like to put on. And oh my god, you can see my hair in the corner. Sorry, I didn't realize when I was recording that there would be like my hair in the way. Next time I will comb it more. I don't know why it's so crazy. Anyway, moving on. And I like to use actual photos of raindrops to use as a reference. And I'm just going to add a little extra shadows here and there just to give it more depth. On to the next and final step, I'm going to be using my favorite thing in the world to draw with, a mechanical pencil. And the reason I'm doing that is because it creates nice, dark, straight lines. And I just love it for preciseness. And all I'm doing is just tracing around the whole entire thing. And after I trace, I'm just going to blend it out a little bit, totally optional. And other than that, we are completely done. And without further ado, zoom that out, cameraman. And here is the final product. Woo! Anyway, guys, here are the final pieces. If you guys would like to see part 2 and 3, let me know and I will upload that in a separate video because I do have the recorded footage. Other than that, guys, I love you guys so much. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I have all my artwork there from by the time I was like 19 years old up until recently. And yeah, I love you guys and I will see you next video.